episode of Chasing Butterflies. We are on a very sensitive subject of suicide. So if you struggle with mental health or the subject is too much for you, just skip or watch it with support. Okay? We'll be right back. Hi there. Welcome back to Chasing Butterflies. I'm here with my friend Shelly, and we're going to talk about her beautiful young man, Garrig. So, tell me all about him.
So Garrig, beautiful
Mhm.
redheaded boy, beautiful soul. I had him. I borrowed him from God for about 18 years, right before his 19th birthday, a couple of weeks before his 19th birthday. He he was the only boy that I had, so he's my youngest. I have two daughters, and he suffered from anxiety from about 4 years of age on. And as he got older, it kind of started manifesting into some other things. He'd get bullied, and I started realizing how intelligent he was. And I mean, like, anomaly kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he would be like, Mom, you don't understand what's going on through my head, kind of thing. I suffered from anxiety. My oldest daughter suffered from anxiety. We all kind of did,
I think
but it
a
just
lot of
kind
people do.
manifested
Yeah.
in a different
way.
But I was very attuned to children with it, and I was an advocate for our school district, which is second largest district in Texas, because it was not something that you could just Google, and there was a support group for it. And they didn't, then you didn't really have anxiety in children or depression. It wasn't something that they really looked for. So I was pretty tuned to him as soon as he was 4 that he was going to suffer from it. But he was very athletic. His namesake is after Lou Gehrig. His daddy was an athlete. His grandpa. He was a natural baseball player.
Nice.
And so he was very, very intelligent. And when he got to high school, he was playing baseball, but he was very little. And so he didn't make the team. The coach was like, well, you can be the manager or whatever. That ticked him off. So he did that for a couple of years. And then he came to us and he was like, my grades are suffering. I don't want to do that anymore. And, we were like, we get it. It was hard. Not only because it was something he didn't have to work at. And this little boy was hitting a ball over the roof of my house as soon as he could stand.
Wow.
I mean, there were grown men that would ask for his autograph, and I'm like, he doesn't know how to write yet. He can't write yet. So we were like, well, maybe he'll get back in it later,
Yeah.
But he didn't. He struggled with anxiety in high school and started gaming. Hung out with, I hate to call them this, misfits, but they were a group of boys that just, each one of them had their own issue and own ethnicity. And I mean, it was just, you could tell they were all just clinging to each other, just trying to find some sort of normalcy with themselves. And he hung out with them, and there started to be kind of some clues that things were going wrong. When he was like in middle school or even upper elementary, he had been on meds a couple times, but it would infuriate me. I'd take him to a psychiatrist, and I don't have anything wrong with this. Okay. I take medication, it works.
Sure. Yeah.
To me, it is a misfire.
Yeah.
And, But there would be times that I would go into one and we'd have to change it because of insurance. And so, and they wouldn't ask background. I wanted someone who was a therapist and a psychiatrist.
Sure.
They would be like, well, how's meds working for you right now? And he'd go, they're good. And they go, okay, let's up them. I'd be like, why? Like, well, let's just try this. And I'm like, and he didn't want to be on it. Most people don't.
Yeah. That's why some people just go on and off and on and off.
It changes who I am. And I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
So we kind of went through these phases of, Mom, I can cope with this. And no, I can't. And yes, I can. And so finally in high school, I would say his junior year, he was working at HEB.
Mm-hmm.
He was a cashier, but he was also did the baskets. My sister came over one day and she says, I caught Garrick in the parking lot and I noticed that he had cuts all over him. He had started cutting. But he'd been wearing long sleeves. Real white boy, I thought.
Yeah, he was fair.
Yeah. So I called, he came home and I was like, this is not okay. And he was like, I'm all right. I stopped doing it. You don't need to worry. And I was like, no, we're past that. And at the time his dad was working here in Houston. So we're in San Antonio.
Sure.
My girls are gone. They're off in college and starting their lives. And so I was like, no, we're going to get some help. And he was like, okay, well, I'll do therapy. I'm like, well, we'll definitely, let's look into that. Meanwhile, I call his school and I said, hey, this is what's going on. And the counselor says, well, it's just a fad. I wouldn't worry about it. And I went, I'll be coming up there right away.
Yeah.
So the next morning I was getting ready for work and I went straight up to the school and I said, you and I need to have a talk. And I said, she was a young counselor. And I said, I just would tell you that any kind of self-harm is not okay. I don't care if it's a fad or not. So suicide,
no,
it's a fad. It can be.
Mm.
And I said, so don't ever downplay something like that. I said, if y'all know these things are happening, parents need to know about it. Well, she kind of came back and she was like, well, he's not going to his classes in the morning and he's always late and, it's really going to affect his grade. So you need to be waking him up earlier, make sure he goes to bed. And I'm like, by this time he's getting 18, 17, 18. I go, yeah, I leave before him.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this isn't, I don't have a whole lot of control over it. I can have these discussions with them. And I was like, but obviously we need to talk to him. I go, well, what is his grade? Tell me his grade. Because it was senior year. He only had like 3 classes during the day and he'd go to work. And she just kind of got this look. She goes, well, let me check. And so she does. And she goes, this could really affect his STAR scores. Well, wouldn't want that. Now, mind y'all, I'm an educator.
Yeah.
I can say whatever I want. I'm even spec ed certified.
I hated those tests.
So she comes back. She goes, I go, what's the She goes, he has 104 in that class. I go, oh, that is a So he's not really missing out. And I said, and what was his last test score? I think it was the highest in the school. So maybe we're worried about the wrong thing here.
Yeah.
I said, well, let's call him in. So we did. And, I said, try to make it to class on time now and pretend like you like it or something, I'm like, let's get through with this. So that's kind of where he was mentally graduating. He was ready to get out. He didn't want to be behind a desk, but he didn't know what he wanted.
Who knows what they want to do at 18 usually?
Who knows? But here's the thing, Tracy. What's the first thing we ask those kids? What are you doing? Where are you going?
Yeah.
What are you doing with your life? We put that on them. We have all put that on them.
Mm-hmm.
What's your degree? What are you interested in?
Yeah.
Well, he had two sisters that knew their path. They knew where they were going to go. And he was like, he had people tell him, well, you're a genius with math. He was like, doesn't mean I like it. I want to be an accountant.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to be like this person. So he was behind the 8 ball going into all this. And he started applying at colleges. His friends weren't, the friends he hung out with, they really weren't college material.
Mm-hmm.
But they respected who he was. And so he'd be like, well, maybe I'll go to this junior college. I'm like, well, let's go tour it. And so we go and he's like, uh-oh, this isn't me. And I'm like, long story short, he ends up getting a full ride to a few places. And he picks UTSA in San Antonio. I think they ended up paying him money. I'm not kidding. I think he was getting checks from them, like between that. And I'm like, but he started going to school and he stayed at home. So it was just he and I. And he was fine. He was doing okay. He wanted to get his own place, and we were more than happy to accommodate that. I tried to encourage him to go and live on campus and make friends and, but that wasn't who he was. He wasn't the football game kind of guy and all that. He knew how to play sports, but he kind of fell out of all that. Mm-hmm. He had changed his personality and, he wasn't doing drugs. Although I knew his friends probably were smoking pot and weed and whatever the vapes. And he probably was piddling with all that stuff. So it got to be his second semester at UTSA. He aced it. And he comes home one day from work and he said, I got to take a sabbatical. I was like, okay, what's going on? And he goes, I'm going to need some real help. He goes, I got to get my brain on straight before I can go back. All right, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted him to go to this one psychiatrist that my daughter had gone to. I had to just run the gamut. There were so many we had been to and just weren't happy. And I knew this one person, and he had a 6-month waiting list.
Wow.
Hard to get into. But there was a therapist in his office that we had used as well. And so he started going to him. Well, hello, COVID happens.
Mm.
He had just gotten his acne under control. Things were just kind of starting to gel for him. COVID happens. And he was a germaphobe. Well, he was on the front lines. And I'm telling you, front lines are 17 and 18-year-olds working at a grocery store. They had no freaking business.
Yeah.
Being the first ones in front of everyone. And that's where he was. So here he's in the middle of all this. He's having to wear a mask. He's having to tell people you can't have toilet paper.
Yeah.
Things that grown men can't do.
Right.
Let alone a 17-year-old. He started having to Zoom his therapist. Not the same. Telling him he was doing this and this. He was on a waiting list to see the psychiatrist. So just, this little perfect storm started to develop. My oldest came home. She was working for the Astros at the time, so she was in Houston, and it was COVID, so she came home and was able to work from home. My other daughter was living in Friendswood with my brother. She was going to A&M Galveston. So it was Jordan and I and Garrett at home. And it just got to be where he missed his friends. He missed being able to get out. He would go to work. His acne came back because of having to wear the mask.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see him visibly falling apart. And he was just like, I had people say, "Oh, you have acne." Well, yeah. I don't need you to tell me.
Why would you say that to anybody?
And then there was an old lady that got behind the register and started beating on him because he was only able to sell her so much toilet paper. And it just upset him so bad. The way people, he was so upset with the way people were behaving during this time, which I think you learn a lot about humanity without COVID being a cashier. Because my other daughter did it too, and she's like, "Wow, people are mean," and I'm like,
and like it's your fault. Like I own HEB.
Yeah, and she'd be like, "I'm taking their coupon from them." I'm like, you can't do that, right? So let me just say, around this, all this is kind of happening, and we're approaching Lent. Jordan is home, my oldest, and I said, "What are you going to give up for Lent?" She's like, I don't know. And mind you, I was cafeteria Catholic, and I'm gonna preface this with you guys is that when I'm having these conversations about this, I'm not evangelizing. This was my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's is different,
mm-hmm.
but this is 100% what I experienced, and I would be remiss if I didn't put my faith into this conversation.
Sure.
Because I wouldn't
we talk about faith all the time.
Sitting here, right?
Right. Me too.
So there's that caveat. So I said, "What are you giving up for Lent?" She goes, "I don't know." And she goes, "I've really struggled, Mom. I've been trying to find a church that I like, and yada, yada, yada." And I said, "Yeah, but your aunt, she's always harping about how it's not about the priest, not about the person that runs it. They're human. It's about the Eucharist. It's about the church." And I said, maybe, she gave me a book a long time ago that I read part of it, and it really explained a lot. And I said, for Lent, I think I'm going to read this book. And it was called it is called The Lamb's Supper by Scott Hahn. Easy read, very short. He's basically a convert. He converted to Catholicism. I think he was a Baptist minister. And so I started reading it. And then she and I were taking long walks every day and talking about it. So this was just kind of, all these little things were all happening at the same time. And Sam came home, the other daughter, for Easter. So we were all together for Easter.
Nice.
And I remember he kind of had a mental thing happen then. He was real upset, and they were like, "It's okay. We'll help you clear up your acne, and everything's going to be okay." She went back, and I started cleaning the house out like a minimalist. I kind of got in this, like, none of this matters anymore. And I started boxing everything up. All their childhood stuff, I was like, I'm not throwing nothing away, but when y'all are ready, here it is. I'm going to change the house, and I'm going to I want bare bones. So I started doing that, and I had one last project to do. I woke up, and it was a Friday morning. I had one last project to do. And I went to my desk. It was like to throw out income tax from 1987 or something like that. You know, it was like cleaning all that crap out. I'm going through these papers. And in the weirdest place, there's a Mother's Day card from Garrick from the year before. And he was a beautiful artist. It was a homemade card. And it was so well written. And it was just the kindest, sweetest thing. You know, I know that you worry about me and all these things, you know, you do all these things, all the stuff that we'd been through, but I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. And I thought, man, I hope I get another one like this year.